This was found at a garage sale in Australia. It's a cast iron mechanism mounted on a timber base, where the bucket spins as the blade chops down. The bucket might not be original, and it looks like the base once had feet. The seller didn't know what it was either. Any idea what this could be? It's a Victorian-era food chopper. The chopping blade cycles at a decent speed, thanks to the gearing between the crank and the flywheel on the opposite side. It looks like the bowl rotates slightly with each stroke of the blade, giving it a mincing action on whatever's inside. The presence of the flywheel suggests that the food being processed had some toughness to it. This machine was built to handle more than just soft vegetables. It was found in the basement of a house built in 1860, a massive concrete slab measuring over 3 feet by 3 feet and about a foot tall. A threaded metal rod, roughly 3 feet high, sticks out of the top with a large nut on it. Interestingly, the slab isn't part of the basement floor. There's a visible gap underneath, but it can't be moved. The rod isn't set into the floor either, only into the slab itself. Any ideas what this could have been used for? This is an old grape press used for making wine, built with a stone base. The container sits on top of the stone, and the threaded stud is used to press a plate downward, squeezing the juice out of the grapes. The juice then flows into a separate container below. Something delicious in the making. The cast iron object measures about 4 feet in diameter, though it's adjustable. The rods can extend outward to make it wider. At the end of each rod are handled feet or pads, possibly for stability or support. One person suggested it might have been used to support bricks or stones while building the conical roof of an ice house, but it seems a bit too heavy and over-engineered to serve as just a brickwork form. Any idea what this might have actually been used for? This is a vintage tractor wheel, a steel wheel outfitted with added threads to boost traction. These wheels were essential for heavy-duty farm work, especially before the invention of the differential lock and the widespread use of pneumatic rubber tires in the early to mid-20th century. The rods, also called strakes or spuds, were individually adjustable. By loosening the bolts, you could slide them out to increase the wheel's diameter, helping it dig more effectively into soft ground for better grip. It was found at the site of some overhead power lines that had recently gone down and were being repaired. The object is a galvanized steel clip holding a Super X brand 22 short cartridge with a small red rubber cap, likely used to keep it in place. The clip measures just about an inch in diameter. There are no markings on the clip itself, only on the cartridge. The overhead distribution line structure that failed was a square concrete pole. Comms lines and 13.8 kilovolt distribution is held by the structure. Does anyone recognize what this could be used for? It's part of a ground lead disconnector. In normal operation, the disconnector allows brief pulses of high current, like those from lightning strikes, to safely reach the ground. This specific piece, called the spacer spring, sits in the center of the assembly and allows current to arc through it. But if too much current flows for too long, the spring heats up and triggers a small cartridge detonation, blowing the assembly apart and letting the ground lead disconnect and fall away, a safety mechanism to prevent further damage. This one looks undetonated. Maybe someone just dropped it. This unusual object features 2 wooden handles, each about 6 inches long, connected by a rope that's too short to be a jump rope. At the end of each handle is a metal ball that jingles when moved. The only marking on it says English made. Has anyone seen something like this before? That's a jump rope. Looks a lot like one my mom had from around 1955 that she still has lying around somewhere. The jingling sound is probably from ball bearings inside the handles, which help prevent the rope from tangling while in use. Looks like the original rope disintegrated, and someone just used string to keep the handles together. It's a latch of some kind, but the seller didn't know what this type of latch would be used for. It's new old stock and it came from the bag with tag pictured. The handle only moves about an inch until the notch at the bottom is on the opposite side. Any ideas on what this would be used for? It's a casement window handle lock, typically used to secure and operate swing-out windows. This object is quite heavy, about twice the length of a standard stove, but much shorter in height. It appears to have some kind of internal container and possibly a spring mechanism. The ring or collar around the pole on the right side moves up and down, which might be part of the function. There are also several tools held in slots or holders along the side, suggesting it may have served a specific workshop or industrial purpose. Most of the structure is metal, with the exception of the top, which is made from a hard plastic material. Does anyone have any idea what this might be used for? It's a tire changer, definitely old school, probably from the 1970s. The bar is stored in a holster on the right side of the machine. These older models usually work faster than many of the newer ones. This wooden object was found in a thrift store. On the bottom, it has 41-1187 bloodwood marble mixed ring 11/10 Chuck Ellis burned into it. That marking seems to describe the types of wood used for different parts, bloodwood and marblewood, as well as possibly a date and the name of the maker, Chuck Ellis. Each piece is made from solid wood, though they're glued together. The inside of the ring has carved ridges that are easy to see in person, but don't show clearly on camera. The pegs are set at slightly different angles, as seen from the side. It's medium-sized, fairly heavy, and looks like a handmade item, possibly decorative or artistic. Any idea what this could be or what it might have been used for? It's a gravity wine bottle stand, made by Teleco Tourings. It was found in a garage and appears to be a hand-cranked grinder of some kind. No markings or labels were visible to help identify its age or origin. In addition to the main crank handle, a smaller wheel with its own crank is located on the right side, possibly functioning as a brake or locking mechanism. The tool may be missing parts. A large round component on the far left can rotate slightly around its spindle, though its purpose remains unclear. Turning the main handle causes both the large spoked wheel on the right and a short socket or spindle at the top left to rotate. Does anyone recognize this tool or know what it might have been used for? It's a hand-cranked drill press, designed to be mounted vertically. A classic piece of old-school woodshop gear. It was found at Goodwill, with no markings other than Made in Philippines. The item is about the length of a standard book. It features a line of small wooden elephants with a rod running through them. The rod can be slid out, allowing the elephants to be removed. Any idea what this might have been used for, or if it's purely decorative? It's a rack for all those elephant-shaped napkin holders. It was found on the floor at a party. A small metal cylinder with holes along the body, and two rods on one end. It's fairly lightweight, about the size of a hand. The rods can be pushed in, but they're spring-loaded and extend back out on their own. No obvious markings or labels. Anyone know what this might be used for? This is a toilet paper holder. It's a wooden semicircle, shaped like a handle, with two metal balls that roll back and forth in a carved track. The metal rod holding them doesn't move at all. It was given as a gift with no explanation or background. No idea where it came from or what it's meant for. Was this a wooden thing? Anyone recognize it? This is called a Moses cradle, made by Score Moore in the 1970s. The challenge is to get one ball to each end of the track, but without touching them. The trick? Place the curved side down and spin it like a top. The centrifugal force pushes the balls outward to opposite ends. It was found in a box of older Japanese stainless steel medical instruments. The object has a greenish-blue rod attached to a silver ring-like end. The tip appears slightly worn, possibly indicating that it was the area most frequently used. The parts don't seem to unscrew or come apart. Does anyone know what this might have been used for? That's a hypodermic syringe plunger. Definitely an old one, and seriously cool. It was found in an attic in rural Slovenia, a metal ball with holes and a rod running through the center. The ball unscrews completely, but the two halves don't come apart and may have been hammered together. There are no markings or numbers, and it was discovered in a house that's over 100 years old. One end features a nicely crafted wooden handle. Some think it could be a type of censer used by priests for incense, while others suggest it might be a handmade novelty or even a manual disco ball. Has anyone seen something like this before or know what it might be? That's a nut roaster. It sits in front of or beside the cooking fire. It was often used for hazelnuts, but you could also make popcorn in it. It was found in a briefcase that also contained stamps and astronomy charts. The object is about 2 inches long, consisting of a solid metal rod inserted into a rubber red tube. The tube bends easily, and the rod is flattened on one end to prevent it from sliding all the way through. There's a piece of fabric wrapped around it with 3 holes, possibly to adjust which hole the rod passes through. The fabric is stretchy, and all 3 components, the metal rod, rubber tube, and fabric, can be separated. The item is very light and has no markings or writing of any kind. Any idea on what this could be or what it was used for? That's a Russell guitar capo. You'd strap it onto the neck of a few frets away from where you want it, then slide it into position using your thumb and middle finger. The idea was that it wouldn't throw off your tuning as much as other capos. It was definitely less bulky than the spring-loaded ones we mostly use today, but way more prone to flying off and potentially hitting someone when you removed it between songs. That said, it wasn't the most user-friendly capo. Adjusting the strap to get enough tension often bent the strings sharp, which kind of defeated the purpose. It came out of an old house in Baton Rouge and is believed to be some kind of kitchen tool, possibly from the 1950s to 1970s. It's a fairly simple wooden device, with a handle and a rotating lower rod. When the lower part rotates, it acts like a cam. The rotation is slightly off-center, causing the wider side of the wheel to press against the top rod. It seems like it was meant to squeeze down on something while being turned, maybe for pressing or gripping, but it doesn't appear useful for opening jars. Any idea on what this might be or what it was used for? The bolt hole is off-center on the round part. This suggests that it's a type of clamp or friction device. You slip a piece of rope between the 2 pieces and pull on the handle. It'll grip the rope. Pull the lever and it'll release the rope. So it looks to me like a handle used for flying a kite, specifically designed to clamp the line in place. Imagine a string between the notch and the circular wooden piece. Once you rotate or turn the circular part, the space between the two gets smaller and smaller until the string is locked in place. Obviously, the other end is the handle. It was found in the garage of an older house built in 1983. There are 3 metal rods, each about a foot long, mounted on swivels near the garage door track. They swing toward the opening of the garage and move back and forth freely. Given how meticulously the house was built, it doesn't seem like these rods are just random or decorative. What could these swinging rods be for? Has anyone seen something like this before? That's a towel rack, very typical of 1980s design, though it might even date back earlier than 1983. The placement is odd, but clearly someone found a use for it. Most likely, it was used for oil rags, especially those with finishes like linseed oil. I'm not talking fancy towels here. I mean the kind of rags you'd use to check car oil or grease the garage door tracks. This was found in a thrift shop under the tools section. It's all metal, about 9.5 inches long, with movable arms. The long head measures around 3.5 inches, while the shorter one is about 1 1/8 inches. The red handles are removable, but there's no markings or labels anywhere on the tool. Shape-wise, it looks somewhat similar to an exhaust hanger removal tool for a car, but that's just a guess. Any idea what this could be? It's a vintage KD Tools number 2307 rear brake adjustment hand tool, made in the USA for Chevrolet Vega. It's specifically designed for adjusting drum brakes. It was purchased at a garage sale nearly 2 years ago in the Syracuse, New York area. The object is crafted from several types of inlaid wood, giving it a unique and decorative appearance. Although the pointed tip appears metallic at first glance, it's actually wood and feels consistent with the rest of the piece. It measures approximately 22 inches in length and about 1.25 inches wide at its thickest point. It seems too long to be a wand, too thick to be a baton, and too short to be a cane or swag stick. One person suggested it might be similar to the decorative walking sticks tourists buy in Germany and Europe, which are often adorned with badges from places visited. The seller jokingly called it a leprechaun's walking stick, but does anyone actually know what it might be? It's probably a swagger stick. There's no standard length. It's really about what looks good when carried under the arm. Since these were often custom made, it's easy to imagine a gentleman of smaller stature choosing one that felt more appropriate to his build.